So week 7, we saw some running backs emerge. This week, this is top 5 running backs I'm looking to pick up on the waiver wire this week. And the first guy is Geo Bernard. I don't know if he's still there, but he is. You better go out there and get him. Geo Bernard, what a fill-in game he had yesterday for Joe Mixon, who's week to week with his foot injury. Bernard with 20 fantasy points in PPR leagues. He had 13 carries for 37 yards and 5 catches for 59 yards. Bernard looking good in that Bengals offense, and he's a good fit with Joe Burrow. And the receiving yards did come Bernard's way, so if Mixon's out again with the foot, Bernard definitely the number one priority. He's available in 40% of Yahoo leagues, and I just like the way Bernard, he's a grizzled veteran. He knows what he has to do. Next week, he's got Tennessee coming up and then the bye, so I could see Mixon definitely being held out one more week to get those 2 weeks of rest. So Geo Bernard, if he's out there, you got to go out there and grab him because he'll be a starter next week for you. Second guy I'm going to go out there and add this week is Carlos Hyde. We saw Chris Carson leave the game in the second quarter yesterday of the Seahawks and Arizona Cardinal game, and Carlos Hyde coming in and doing some work for the Seahawks. He got a good workload as well, 15 carries for 68 yards and a touchdown, and he also had 3 grabs for 8 yards. So if Carson's out for an extended period of time, this is the time to get Carlos Hyde, who's only 11% owned in all fantasy leagues. And Hyde, he's a good backup to have. He's in a high-powered offense. You know he's going to get a lot of touches out of the running back. They got Homer and Dallas back there. So Hyde, the grizzled veteran, he's going to get his chances. He's going to get the work. Today we should have more news on Chris Carson's foot injury. So if Hyde's out there and Carson's out for an extended period of time, I'm going to move Hyde up to number 1 for my waivers this week to add. But as of now, it's Geo Bernard and then Hyde. But if, like I said, Carson's out for weeks or goes on IR, Hyde's the number 1 ad of the week at the running back position. The third guy is a New York Jet, believe it or not, LaMichael Pirine, the young rookie, 21 years old. He had a good game yesterday versus the Buffalo Bills with 13 fantasy points, 11 carries for 40 yards and a touch, and also 2 catches for 16 yards for Pirine. Frank Gore, we saw him get some work, but the old man Frank Gore, he wasn't that effective in his limited work yesterday. So Adam Gase, he said last week he has to get Pirine the ball, and that's what he did yesterday versus the Buffalo Bills. Pirine only 16% owned. So after this week, you got to go out there and you should get him and own him more. This guy, he could be a potential starter. I know he's in a bad offense, but running backs are hard to find these days, and everyone knows it. So Pirine, if you were ahead of the game last week and got him, good for you. But this week, by the end of the week, I want to see Pirine up there another 20 to 30% because starting running backs are hard to get. The fourth guy I'm going to go out there and get, and he might return this week, is Tevin Coleman of the San Francisco 49ers. If Jeff Wilson Jr. didn't get hurt this week, he would have been my number 1 priority. But the way things look, Wilson Jr., he's not going to play for a long time or the season. Snapping that ankle on his 3rd touchdown of the game, he looked like a workhorse. But now it's down to Jerry McKinnon, JaMycal Hasty, and Coleman if he comes back. So I think Coleman would be the lead dog over there. If he comes back in Week 8, Kyle Shanahan said there's an outside shot Coleman could come back. So if he's out there on your waiver wire, you go out there and you get Coleman. It's obvious Shanahan don't want to give McKinnon the full workload because when we saw him in weeks 2 and 3 have it, he got hurt. And then yesterday, Wilson Jr., they rode with him. Hasty, at the end of the game, he got those carries. So McKinnon, he's definitely worth the drop this week. And Coleman will probably be the guy to get if Hasty ain't there. So I would rank it, the pickups, you get Hasty, who's only 21% owned, Coleman, and then McKinnon you drop. But if Wilson's there then and not hurt, you move him on top of your list. But that's the fourth guy. The fifth guy I'm going to get is Wayne Gallman of the New York Giants. Devonta Freeman left Thursday night's game with an ankle injury after getting blown up on a blocking play. And Wayne Gallman, he looked good in his work when he came in for Devonta Freeman. Coleman had 10 carries for 34 yards, a touchdown, and even included 5 catches for 20 yards. He's only 2% owned. So if we get word sooner or later, or Freeman misses practices as the week goes on, Wayne Gallman, I think he's a solid pickup. He's in a weak division. He don't have a bye week to week 11, so we could possibly see him getting 2 or 3 starts if Freeman's out an extended period of time. He's got Tampa Bay and Washington coming up in his next 2 games. Gallman in a few starts over the last few years. He's had a couple decent fantasy games. So if Gallman's out there, he's not a bad 5th option to go out there and get. And the 6th guy, a bonus guy, I'm going to tell you now that you should go out there and get, and I picked him up before he goes on waivers, is Gus Edwards, the former Rutgers product for the Baltimore Ravens. Edwards last week, we saw him get most of the touches once Mark Ingram, who struggled all year, he went down with injury. So last week, he had 14 carries for 26 yards and a touchdown. I know J.K. Dobbins is there, but the coaching staff doesn't like him yet as a 3-down running back for the high-powered Baltimore Raven offense. So if Edwards is out there, this video is coming out before Monday night's game. If he's out there, I would go out there and pick him because Mark Ingram, Harbaugh said last week, has a chance to play. So if you need a starting running back badly next week with buys or injuries or whatever, you go out there and get Gus Edwards now, because if Ingram can't play, you got a starter at least before you even have to hit the wire. He has a mid to high ankle sprain, or the reports for Mark Ingram, and I could see them sitting him out versus a tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense, who's 6-0 this year is Pittsburgh. So Gus Edwards, the bonus and 6th and final guy, I'll add on waivers, but right now I'll tell you to add him before he goes on waivers for week 8 of waiver wire for running backs.